So I'm going to be starting a new series of videos here, just a 4-part quick mini-series, as it were, on the Chaos Pantheon, the various gods of Chaos. You know, you've got Khorne, you've got Slaanesh, Tzeentch, and Nurgle, and not a lot of videos out on YouTube right now that I've seen really touch on who these gods are, what their domains are like, and everything like that. You know, everyone kind of knows Blood for the Blood God, Skull for the Skull Throne is Khorne, and everyone kind of knows, you know, that he's the blood god of everything, but no one really kind of dived real deep into the lore behind a lot of these gods. So these are not going to be very long videos. This intro, I think, is going to make this video the longest video of all of them, hopefully. But what I'm going to do here is jump into who each god is. I'll be reading from the Hordes of Chaos 6th edition book to describe each god. Then I'll be going into the individual domains of each god. That's going to be the 7th edition Demons of Chaos book. And then kind of just touch on really quick, not even without going into specific details, about what units are in that god's kind of repertoire. And no real lore or unit breakdown. This is just strictly a lore video, only talking about some of the blurbs that we get from the flavor text and kind of just going over some of maybe what they are like, as far as okay, hey, this kind of compares to this in history, or this is another classic Greek mythology or stuff of the sort. But again, nothing really over the top in this video. Just want to kind of go into some stuff here with you guys, so you know who these gods are, what they do, and what they kind of represent. So we'll start off with probably my favorite Chaos god, and the one that I played in tabletop whenever I played 40k or wherever I played Warhammer Fantasy. I never really actually played Demons of Chaos. I only played Hordes / Warriors of Chaos. And I was a huge Khorne fan. So not be confused with the band or the actual food, but the blood god Khorne. So we'll jump in here to the little Hordes of Chaos 6th edition blurb. We'll then do the 7th edition Demons of Chaos description of that god's domain. And then again, lastly, just a quick which units are part of that god's mark, as it were. So Khorne, the blood god. Khorne is the blood god, the Lord of Skulls, also known among many of the northern tribes as Arkhar of Karna or Karnath, as well as a myriad other names. He is perceived as an angry, raging god of bestial strength and merciless battle prowess, who rewards bravery, might at arms, and conquest. In the few depictions of Khorne that exist, he is represented as an overly muscled, beast-headed being sitting on a massive brass throne atop a mountain of skulls, said to be the skulls of those slain by his champions, as well as the heads of his followers who have fallen in battle. Chained to his throne are flesh hounds, and it is written in dark texts that a follower can call upon Khorne to let loose these merciless hunters upon a foe, in particular those craven enemies who refuse to fight in open battle. There are no temples to Khorne, and few true ceremonies in his name, for he is the god of war and is worshipped on the battlefield. The only known dedication is the bloodthirsty battle cry roared by all of his followers, "Blood for the blood god." In the wider world beyond the Chaos Wastes, some worship the god Cain, Lord of Murder, though whether the elven god Cain is Khorne by another name or a lesser power in his own right is debated over by scholars inclined to such heretical and dangerous subjects. Khorne despises spellcasting and magic in general, although magical weapons and armor that aid the slaughter in his name are a different manner. There are no wizards dedicated to Khorne, for a champion of Khorne is the embodiment of the warrior, who battles his enemy face to face rather than blasts his foes from afar with magical bolts. Axes are favored weapons of Khorne, and another common mark worn by his followers is the collar of Khorne, a massive studded ring clasped around the neck in imitation of the collars worn by the flesh hounds. Champions of Khorne are unpredictable fighters, for they believe that a day gone by without a death in Khorne's name is a day wasted. For this reason, they are as likely to attack friends as much as foes, particularly when true enemies are hard to come by. Khorne's champions are highly competitive, unless they believe that their god has brought them together for a grander battle to come. When two champions meet, it is almost inevitably ends in bloodshed and the death of one or both of them. So that's a little bit about the god himself. As the editions have gone on, being a individual who follows Khorne has meant a lot of different things. The collar of Khorne used to just infer a magic resistance. Then it inferred frenzy, and that used to mean that you could go butt-ass wild and attack your own units. There was a lot of different units, a lot of different flavoring that has been attached to Khorne over the years and over the editions. The 6th edition here, I think, was that the color of Khorne gave the magic resistance, and you had a chance of your units actually attacking other units. For those of you that remember the 6th edition better than I do, let me know what your take was on that. But again, you have a really cool, differently melee-centric units with Khorne. But let's jump into his overall domain and what it looked like and everything like that. And a lot of this information is going to be somewhat repetitive, but that is the nature of coming across 2 different editions. But I did want you guys to get a good idea of what the Blood Gods domain is like, because each one of them has a different domain that really signifies who they are and everything. But we'll jump into the Blood Gods domain. The largest of the kingdoms in the realm of chaos is that of Khorne, the god of battle. No subtlety has Khorne. He has no yearning for beauty of form in his black heart, for he is the blood god, the skull taker. Within his immortal frame there is room for rage alone, and slaughter is his only desire. So it is that Khorne's realm is shaped to his personality, as indeed are all of the domains of the gods, crafted to their idiosyncratic nature. The land of the blood god is one of the constant battle and martial challenge. It serves no other function. Khorne's dominion is little more than leagues upon leagues of blasted wasteland, made ruddy by the blood spilled upon them. Here and there, jagged canyons and craters break the uneven ground, the aftermath of a titanic clash of might where the blood god's demonic servants battled amongst themselves or against the minions of another deity. Such battles are nigh endless. If one of Khorne's brother gods does not wish to strive against the blood god's followers, the blood god's minions battle amongst themselves. On rare occasions, Khorne will bring mortal champions to this place and test their fighting skills against his demons. Few such contests end in victory for the mortal, but those fleshlings who endure find their feet set upon the path to demonhood, whether it is their wish or no. The very fabric of Khorne's kingdom is tied to his mood, which, while never good, ranges between simmering rage and epoch-ending fury. The ground tremors and shakes as the blood god's thunderous bellows echo throughout eternity. Lakes of blood boil, and the very sky screams. Clouds of choking black ash belch forth from hidden geysers, incinerating milling combatants, or propelling great boulders into the sky, only for them to smash back into the ground with crushing force. Yet still the demons battle. They fight not for honor, not for wealth, not even for victory. They fight for fighting's sake and for the favor of their wrathful lord. Towering over the ageless desolation of Khorne's realm is the blood god's brass citadel. The walls of this unholy bastion are jagged, thick with crusted blood and ichor, with gibbets and gallows displaying the lifeless remains of assailants. The moat of the brass citadel is filled not with water, but with the boiling blood of Khorne's victims across space and time. Iron gargoyles snarl from every parapet, demonic hatred in their eyes, and molten metal in their bellies, while fleshhounds prowl the space between the outer walls and the keep, gnawing at ancient bones and longing for fresh meat. Khorne himself dwells within a great vault at the black heart of the citadel's central keep. 8 iron pillars vanish into the ebon gloom to shoulder the inconceivable weight of the throne room ceiling. Each pillar is inscribed with one of the commandments of Khorne. These edicts speak to the unholy virtues of rage, martial skill, and defiance. In the center of the room, the blood god sits upon a mighty throne of brass atop a vast mountain of skulls, each the grisly trophy of a champion victorious, or the remains of a champion defeated. Khorne is customarily clad in ornate armor of black and brass. The blood god's body is broad and muscular, his visage that of a fierce and snarling dog with ravaged lips. When Khorne speaks, he does so in bellows of black rage, each guttural syllable igniting the air in tainted sparks. Upon Khorne's fingers are many brass rings, some blazoned with his own skull rune. Upon others are mounted the severed heads of lesser gods, or less fatal tokens of vanquished foes. What being would dare face the blood god in the arena of martial prowess remains a mystery. So the provenance of these other rings is unknown, lest they be tokens from the other great battles from which creation sprang. At Khorne's side is a mighty double-handed sword. Legend tells that the drawing of this dolorous weapon is the harbinger of calamity, and that Khorne could split existence asunder with but a single stroke were it his desire. Elsewhere in the Citadel, mighty armories are stocked with every weapon imaginable, yet for reasons long since forgotten to mortals, Khorne always favors this one sword. At the foot of the throne, a carpet of splintered bone extends in all directions, the remains of those slain by the blood god's conquering champions. Under the Stygian shadow of the chamber's eaves lies a mighty anvil, where furnace demons forge weapons and armor for the blood god's favored followers, great warriors and mighty war leaders who would kill for that which they desire. Here also lurks the great hound Khorne, a massive three-headed demon beast who prowls the cavernous throne room. In the very direst of need, when his armies are overwhelmed and his citadel beset, Khorne rises from his throne, his armored footfalls shaking the realm of chaos to its core. With an honor guard of bloodthirsters, each with the power of an army in its own right, the Lord of Battle unleashes his rage upon the foe, scattering the demons of his rivals with each sweep of his mighty blade and trampling their broken bodies underfoot. This willingness to take physical participation in the great game is what marks Khorne out from his fellow gods. Even so, such personal interventions are rare indeed, and so each calamitous occasion marks a turning of the tide in the wars of the gods. And the great game is the game that the four Chaos Gods play against each other in perpetuity. The entirety of the Warhammer and Warhammer 40k worlds is a lot about the intrigue between the gods and how they are constantly trying to foil each other's plans. And there's a lot of talk about how if at any point they were all to band together, it would spell the doom for all existence, or, also known as the Age of Sigmar, but I don't want to get into that too much. Going into what units represent Khorne, we've got the Mighty Bloodthirster. This is a souped-up version of a Bloodletter. He's huge, bat-winged monstrosity. I'm not going to go into, again, the lore on any of these guys. I'm just going to talk about them real quick, because I'm probably going to do a lore video on this when we have Total War Warhammer 3, which is purely speculative, going to be about demons. I'll go and do each one of these through again, talking about the lore blurbs and all the breakdowns of all these guys. Then you got the Bloodletters of Khorne. They're these horned demons with these big brass swords. In previous editions, they used to have this really cool brass armor on. Not so much anymore, but they used to look. I think they used to look a lot cooler, a lot more like these rugged horned linebackers, and now they're kind of more spindly looking. But then there's the Blood Crushers of Khorne, which are these giant steel and metal and brass juggernauts that just charge through things and fuck them all up, monstrous cavalry as they are. Then there's the Flesh Hounds of Khorne, where we heard about Khorne, who is a larger Flesh Hound, but the Flesh Hounds are going to be just kind of like your typical Chaos Warhound, but with a little bit more oomph to them, of course. We also have a Skull Cannon of Khorne, which is an artillery piece, which you would assume shoots a bunch of skulls and the such, but kind of like that. The skulls kind of catch fire and cool shit like that, but we'll go into those as we get closer to it. But the Blood Thrones of Khorne as well, and that's going to be kind of a chariot type unit with your Skull Taker, as well as Skull Taker. I'm sorry, is a special unit. Or I'm sorry, special character. Same thing with Khorne, as we've already heard about, and then rounding everything off with Scarbrand, who is a special Bloodletter of Khorne. But that's pretty much everything on Khorne. Not a very long video here today, guys. Just wanted to jump into just some quick dirty details about those gods, because I didn't see a presence of this on YouTube, and I definitely want you guys to have a perspective of who Khorne is, who Slaanesh is, and who Tzeentch and Nurgle are, because we talk about them so much in our thematic battles. We talk about them so much in the Warhammer lore in general, that it's very important to know who these gods are and what the great game is and how they all play a part in it. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you do want to know more about this earlier than Total War Warhammer 3, again, that's speculative, let me know. I can do these videos ahead of time. I just figured that these would be kind of cool little down and dirty videos you guys could listen to while you're painting or doing anything of the such. But thanks for watching here today, guys, and have a good one and take care.